Hey, Ryan Steinelson here. I'm actually the president of Accelerate Marketing. We also have a local lead lab, which is a school community. We help businesses create an extra $100,000 or more a month in revenue. And we do that primarily by optimizing two main platforms for them, which is local service ads and Google Business Profile. We also leverage artificial intelligence, which is one of the reasons why I really am, interested in having Chris on the call today, because one of the cornerstones of Google's optimization algorithm now is to have these businesses answer the phone within 30 seconds and the message leads within 30 seconds. And this is the reason why it's really great to have you here, Chris. So with that, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really the whole 30 seconds thing. I think that's really awesome. That's great. I love it. So Intake Academy, Chris Mullins for about 30 years now, and working with just law firms and focusing all things conversion, speed to lead, speed to chat, speed to call, you name it. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And that's why at the cornerstone of that is this concept of just picking the phone up. I mean, it's interesting. I can send as many leads as I want to a business owner. And a lot of times, and I don't know if you see this, it's a case of the tail wagging the dog, so to speak, where it's the intake a lot of times that unfortunately the business owner is either not aware of. They've become so separate from the business sometimes that they're not aware of what's really happening in the intake, is a lot of times what I've experienced.
So I would also want to clarify. So when I say intake, I mean sales. Yeah, I mean sales. You can call it what you want, but it is sales at the end of the day. You can call it a call center, inside, outside, whatever you want to call it, but it is sales. But I also believe that a lot of owners know what's happening, but for some reason, their thought process is, I'll just get more leads without fixing the sales process. It's all over the place, and you can't look the other way. You can't stick your head in the sand because you're losing money every time.
At what point do these attorneys reach out to you? I'm kind of curious.
Most firms, I'm just thinking about my consultations that I have, my evaluation consults, and when I'm sitting with the managing partner or the CEO or the attorney, whatever level it's at, but most of them know when they get a really bad Google review or when they just see that their conversion is plummeting. But sometimes too, they don't really specify like what happened. So I think maybe there's some discomfort with admitting that there's a problem. And then what I do is they send me call recordings and I analyze them, and then I get back on with them and I play some of them and I tell them exactly what's going on in their department just by listening to the call recordings. And that's a whole nother can of worms right there. So I just tell the truth.
Yeah.
I tell them exactly what I've identified, and I can tell them about the team members just by listening to the voice of the recording, who they are, how long they've been there, if they're on the way out the door, that kind of thing. And, all the different processes that are working or not working. So there's always something that's working. So I tell them that, and then I tell them the opportunities, but it's the way I do it. So am I direct? Do I tell them like it is? Yes, but I don't do it in a way of being disrespectful. So I don't sugarcoat it at all. And most people know that when they reach out to me, that's what's going to happen. But the most important thing is, regardless what kind of business you're in, you just have to make sure that you do the right thing by your team. Tell them the truth and realize that they probably haven't gotten the right training. Give them the right training. And if they don't do anything about it, then that's a different story. But give them a chance with the right training and coaching.
It's not so much that there's a bad employee, it's just that the training is just not adequate. And then I think what you're saying is that once you give them the training and then there's still the choice to not implement it and they've got the tools, then that's when you take action.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, when I get involved, it's not like you just go get a training class. That's not what it is, because there's a lot of things that are broken already that are clogging the pipeline there for sales and conversion. So they have to get fixed. And at most everything that has to get fixed has to do with another department, which means other people. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack. But the bottom line is all you need to do is just listen to your call recordings. So listen to your call recordings and then give feedback to your team right away and just do it over and over and over again at a minimum.
Right. That's a good correlation with artificial intelligence, I think, because what do you think about this concept of training, like going through the training through a prompt and uploading a knowledge base and reinforcement learning, this concept of training once? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a game changer. You just train one time, but in addition to that, you don't have a revolving door of a team.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you have one person on the staff, everybody else is gone for whatever reason, and everybody's running, including the owner, to figure out how to answer the phone, or you hire an outside call center that has a bunch of different clients. But you just train once, you don't have to keep replacing that person, and it's speed to lead. Yeah, it's definitely a game changer in my mind.
You've obviously seen like our AI system and how it works and how, we've got the prompt, we've got the knowledge base. The prompt is like the pep talk before the AI agent goes into each conversation. Yeah. So it's like you being there and giving a pep talk every single time. Like you have the ability to create that prompt and put in there all the questions that you want it to ask. And this is where I'm so excited to work with you, because you work with some of the best in the business. So you've seen some gems out there, intake people, and we just get 5 recordings of them and upload those. You transcribe them, upload those to the knowledge base. That's the equivalent of the debrief. And it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. You can see that this is the entryway of really changing these firms.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the smaller firms, what a game changer for them, because the attorneys are on the phone handling intake and sales calls. So they won't have to worry about that anymore. AI gets taught about the empathy and the pausing and the stump of language and, the way to speak, the way to change your voice and your tone, the inflection.
There's a couple schools of thought. Do you just deploy it first line, or after 20 seconds that you give the humans, how would you determine like at what point to insert the AI? Some of the firms choose to go the route of like, okay, let's start it off with humans answering for 20 seconds. And then to satisfy Google, we'll give the AI agent the last 10 seconds to make sure that all calls are answered within 30 seconds. So that way you kind of have a hybrid, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, so why do you think that was brought up that way? Why do you think some of the firms said, let's do it that way? Maybe the idea of that having a human first is just a comfort level for the firm. And maybe there's some sort of, they're going to be upset if and when they find out that Mary's a robot. So I'm sure that there's all kinds of stuff like that. And that has to be dealt with, but just test everything. Test it.
I agree. I think it's a matter of just of testing it and iterating it. And I'll use this example. This is a different vertical. When we create an agent, we actually create a separate page for it. And this is obviously not the voice. This is just the agent that would, I have a hole in my roof. And so, so this is the agent that's communicating back and forth, but people spend a lot of time on this. And so there's 2 places that the agent can live. Number 1, it can be embedded on your website. And then number 2, you can just send people to, the agent on one page. But this is another way, as we were talking about earlier, that people can engage with the artificial intelligent agent. And I just thought it was very interesting that the agent is actually showing up, in search results. We've never seen that.